Matt, why was the decision made to establish a British Council office in Southwest China?
We wanted to establish a British Council office in Southwest China back in 2000, really to create a bridge between the UK and China. Around that time we had quite a significant presence in Guangzhou, Shanghai, Beijing and also Hong Kong. But there wasn't really a British Council presence in southwest China. And in response to the Chinese government's policy of opening up the West, we thought it would be a very good idea to have a presence in southwest China so that we could create a bridge through education, products and services and arts activities and providing exam services for the people of southwest China so that they could really understand more about the UK and in turn so we could understand more about the people of southwest China. Well, I suppose on a superficial level, when you consider that I arrived in Chongqing, I think in July or August of 2000, my initial impression when I got off the plane was the immense heat. I remember summers sometimes getting to 45 degrees. So that was my first impression. I remember wondering how on earth I would be able to set up a brand new British Council office in that kind of heat, but we managed to do it somehow. One of the other first impressions that I had was the amount of energy that existed in the city and a certain amount of excitement that Chongqing was moving places. It was also quite chaotic, if I'm honest, but it was great fun and very energising to be part of that chaos.
What programs did you establish in Chongqing?
It was a really exciting time to be in Chongqing at the time we established the office in 2000 because through working with a number of partners we were able to establish some really exciting programs that really put at the heart of those programs the idea of working as a bridge between the UK and China. So in that way all of our programs were mutually beneficial in that they created opportunity for Chinese people and Chinese partners at the same time as creating opportunity for people in the UK and the partners that we worked with there. There were a number of programs that stick out, particularly in the area of education. I remember working with partners in Chongqing on developing the standards and techniques of teachers in southwest China who were involved in teaching English to Chinese students, and we worked with a number of partners in the UK and in fact with an education institute in Chongqing established an English language resources centre for teachers of English to be able to access the latest information about teaching techniques and all sorts of audio-visual materials which aided them in their teaching of English to their students. We also were involved in a lot of programs that bridged UK teachers with Chinese teachers through our school linking programs, and we would have delegations of teachers from the UK coming to visit southwest China and Chongqing to see how education was developing in China, and likewise we would send groups of Chinese teachers over to the UK to share with their counterparts and their colleagues in the UK some of the challenges and some of the issues and some of the developments that were taking place in the education system in the UK. There were very many more programmes that we were working on education, far too many really to mention here. I suppose what a really exciting part of our programme was the arts work that we were involved in too. I remember developing some programmes and implementing them in southwest China, which involved some really world-class artists. I remember we worked with Akram Khan and his dance company. We brought a number of bands over to China for the very first time. One of the bands that stands out in my mind was Mochiba and the massive interest that they generated in southwest China. We obviously worked with people such as Anthony Gormley on his Asian field piece, which was stunning. We worked with some very talented UK and Chinese writers on the writers' train, which toured many parts of China, and the Chinese and the UK writers wrote as they went and wrote on a blog. I think actually that was the very first time that I'd heard the term blog, back in 2002, I think it was, where the Chinese and the UK writers would write their impressions and their literature would go up onto the website almost immediately. So there were a number of programmes that we worked on which were very exciting. But as I said earlier, all of those programmes were about bridging the UK and China, so that we could create opportunity for the people of both of those countries in equal measure.
Matt, what were the major challenges facing you in setting up an office in Chongqing?
Well, I arrived in Chongqing with a certain budget. I remember the office hadn't actually been completed in August 2000 when I arrived. So there were a number of challenges. One was actually seeing the completion of the office and setting up the office environment, then recruiting a number of staff to carry out the kind of programmes that we wanted to work on, deciding on the kind of programmes that we wanted to work on. But I suppose the most challenging thing in the first few months was really developing solid partnerships with people with whom we could work on our various programmes in education, in the arts, in science, in exams. So it was really working out who we should be working with and listening to them, talking to them about their interests and seeing whether there were any mutual benefits in working together. So there were lots of challenges, but at the same time, when I look back on that period, it was such an exciting, crazy period that it didn't really seem like a challenge. It really seemed like great fun. It was hard work, but it was great fun.
Are there any major events that you remember that happened in China during your time there?
When I was in China, which was from 2000 to 2003, it was a very exciting time. It felt not that just southwest China and Chongqing in particular were developing, but the whole of the country was developing at a rapid pace, and some very exciting events occurred. I remember when I was there, China gained accession to the World Trade Organization, which was very important in its economic development. I also remember that China was awarded the Olympics when I was there. Again, a very important landmark period in China's history in terms of its social, cultural and economic development. So there were all of these exciting things. Again, on a sports-related matter, I remember China for the first time going through to the finals of the World Cup. And I remember on that very evening that they won their match. I can't remember who it was against, not being able to get a wink of sleep for all of the celebrations that were taking place on the street and all of the car horns that were being beeped and the flag waving and the general sense that China was going places. So there were a number of things. There were many more, but those are the three big things that I remember.